Sending love and lights. Y'all hear the song. All right, y'all. Welcome to Get a Life Astrology with TMZ, teaching everyone abundantly, empowering many is the key, enlightening every day. Got the water and the fish in the background because we just had a significant full moon in Pisces that not only was significant, it's happened the same day the Mercury retrograde happened. And what is this whole episode about? Every single planet being in retrograde in 2022. Currently 6, going into 7 soon. Are y'all ready? Try not to make this long, so I'm just going to get right into it, okay? We had every planet. One had it twice or will have it twice this year. So either every planet has been in or will be in retrograde in 2022. And there's one planet that is the wild card of all the planets. I'm not going to spoil the fun, but it was literally in retrograde already, and it's in retrograde again until 2023. Started in 2021, ended in 2022 early, came back mid 2022, and it won't end again until 2023. We'll get to that. But what is retrogrades? Retrogrades begins with the prefix re. The prefix re is for redoing, reviewing, re-evaluating, responsibility. That's not really a prefix, but it has the re in front of it. And there's a planet that definitely deals with a lot of re's with the prefix. Reviewing, rereading, replanning, restructuring. We're going to be talking about all of it. So we're going to start with the inner planets. Of course, the sun and the moon are the sun and the moon, so they're not planets. We're going to be talking about all the other planets from the personal planets. Mercury, of course, that is retrograde 4 times in 2022. Mars and Venus, those are their personal planets. And you get to Jupiter and Saturn, which are personal and collective. Personal means deals with you mostly as an individual. Of course, the collective planets deal with us all. Then you get to Uranus, which is a collective planet. Neptune is a collective planet. Pluto is a collective planet. So those are all your planets: Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. 8 planets. 9 when you include Chiron, which is an asteroid that's also in retrograde this year. So let's get into it. Oh shit! Ashe, y'all. It's 11:11. They don't hear me. My daughter's listening to Will Live. If you're from DC and you know that. And my youngest daughter's playing Roblox. Where the hell am I? Okay, let's jump into it, but let's skip around. The one planet that I'm going to be least excited to talk about, but most detailed about, is the one that's totally, other than Pluto, restructuring my life, and that's Saturn. And those are the collective planets. Okay, Saturn is definitely a collective and individual, but Saturn has been kicking my ass with this retrograde since June, and it doesn't end until the first day of Scorpio season. But nonetheless, we're still 11:11. I'm grateful for shelter. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my partner. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for the ancestors. I'm grateful for us being the ancestors. I'm grateful for the lessons that are coming in. I'm grateful for the financial freedom that I will be receiving, the blessings I have been receiving, blah, 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 blah. Got to show gratitude first. Now, I meant to take off my nails tonight, y'all. Listen, I'm restructuring in this Virgo season, so we're planning and doing a lot of things and adapting and you know, getting used to different energies. That's what mutable signs do in Virgo season. The sun is in Virgo. It is, let me also tell you what day it is. It is September 12th, 2022. And we're talking about retrogrades because it's retrograde season. It is still summer 2022, We have 9 days until it's fall. So we're getting ready to go into the autumn equinox. Enough of that. Retrograde season. What is a retrograde? We already discussed. We already said all the planets. Let's start off with Mercury, because Mercury is just starting its retrograde for the third time in 2022. We started Mercury retrograde back in January 14th of 2022 to February 3rd. Then we had another one. I cannot remember back that far. I believe the day that Mercury retrograde ended, I do know that's the day I got my voucher to live in a certain part of Maryland right outside of DC. Shortly after that, I believe right around when Jupiter started its retrograde, not Jupiter. I don't even think it was any retrogrades going on. It was clear times were good, and then all of a sudden I got it taken. I believe it was the Pisces moon, the new moon. So I'm going to do a separate thing, but let me just give a little brief thing on this. The Pisces full moon that just happened, it'll take you back to what happened 6 months ago on the Pisces new moon. So things end with that. So I believe that in my personal life, that voucher was taken back from me because I'm ending relationships and I have to kind of restructure things with all these retrogrades going on now. Enough of that, that's off topic. And I'm 3 minutes in. Maybe more than that. So listen, Mercury was in retrograde again in May on the 10th, and then it ended on June the 3rd. And then Mercury just started again on September the 10th, 2 days ago, and it's going until October the 2nd, and it's the third retrograde of 2022. And lastly, we will have the very last days of 2022 on December 29th to January 18th. So that is the 4 retrogrades of 2022 for Mercury. Mercury has been retrograding in air signs first and then going back into earth signs. However, the first one of the year started in an earth sign and then went into the air sign. It started for the first two, I'm sorry. So it started in Capricorn season and then went into Aquarius season for the first one. It went from Taurus season into Gemini season. That's the earth and air. For the second one, it is now Libra season. I'm sorry, it is now Virgo season, another earth sign. So I'm headed backwards. It's going from the earth sign to the air sign. And then lastly, again, it'll be in Capricorn and it'll end in Capricorn right before Aquarius season again for 2023. So a little bit about that is that it's like you're grounding and then releasing all the stress with earth and air. Like earth is stability and then air is light energy. Earth is grounding yourself and air is easing up on yourself. So that's a little bit about the Mercury retrogrades we've been going through. Mercury is the planet of communication, the planet of knowledge, the planet of information, the planet that does all the chitter chatter because it rules Gemini, which is duality. It's the sign of the twins, man and woman. It could be a lot of things. And then it also rules Virgo, the sign of service and it's the earth sign, so it has a lot to do with money, the service, work you do, the work you give. The work you do. And yeah, Mercury retrograde also makes me a little tongue-tied and a lot of other people. So it started in Libra, so it's going back into Virgo for a minute. Libra is in its detriment or fall because Mercury's sister is Venus. So Libra is Venus's ruler. Venus is Libra's ruler, and Virgo is Mercury's ruler. So it's going like from its fall, it's not so strong in Mercury, back into its rulership sign, Virgo, where it is strong. So that's part of the retrograde and having to time to. So let's go over it like this with these retrogrades. I've broken down the planet. I've broken down the signs that are in. Libra has to do with relationships, diplomacy, justice, peace, and balance. So it's like we are balancing our relationships in the way we communicate. So you take the plane of communication, and you take its characteristics from the signs. So we're balancing how we communicate in our relationships with friends, family, lovers, your jobs, your communities, your state, your nation, your world, okay, your government, your all that. And then it goes back, and it's going to be tough because, again, Mercury's sister planet rules Libra. So it's like, also this week we're having, and I'm off topic again, but also this week, because Venus is in Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, and Libra's in Mercury, which is ruled by Venus, they are having like a mutual, what do you call it, respect. Like they're understanding each other even though they're in opposite signs. That's another episode. So, and I'm taking too long with Mercury. I promise I go through the others quickly. But Mercury in retrograde, let's take time to communicate better in our relationships. Communicate how we want peace, how we want balance in our lives. And Libra is a collective sign. Mercury is a personal planet, so you deal with how you relate with yourself, and then you deal with how you relate with others at the same time. Okay, Virgo is a personal sign from that ruled by a personal planet. So when it goes back into Virgo, rethink how you are taking care of yourself, giving service to yourself before you give service to others, how you are grounding yourself, how you are taking care of your health. Virgo has to do with health. Communicate with your body more. That is Mercury retrograde in Libra, going into Virgo. Mercury retrograde, again, can happen 3 to 4 times. It happens 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks long. Normally, the shadow period, and I'm not going to talk about all the shadow periods because I don't know all the shadow periods of most of these planets except the ones that are really strong, like the collective planets and Mercury. The Mercury retrograde shadow starts 2 weeks before the actual 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde, and then it's 2 weeks after. So we're talking about a 2 months period of Mercury retrograde happening. And because it happens so frequently, more than likely you have Mercury retrograde on your chart. If you don't, you are lucky. Those who do not have retrogrades in Mercury go through it the toughest. If you do have Mercury retrograde on your chart, it doesn't mess with you that much. My daughter's calling me. I'll be right back. I'm going to skip to Jupiter retrograde really quick because the other 2 personal planets, I want to talk about them a little bit later for certain reasons because they're not happening right now. They happen earlier or they happen later. So Jupiter is the first personal / collective planet that is in retrograde in 2022 in Aries. So this is a new cycle for Jupiter because Jupiter is in the first sign, which is Aries of the zodiac. And Jupiter is retrograde. One second. Gotta be flexible in this Virgo energy, I'm trying to tell you. All right, so Jupiter is the planet of luck, fortune, expansion, exaggeration, but abundance, prosperous. The great thing about Jupiter retrograde is that when you learn the lessons or whatever you're supposed to be working on in Jupiter retrograde, it will help you. It will give you great rewards. Great rewards. It's like getting that prize from out the jar in school when you did good on your test. I had to hit the J. I had to say almost Ashe or Ashe 11:55. But yeah. Jupiter in retro in Aries. Let me finish this. I said that it would be, or I haven't said, July 28th to November 23rd for 2022. Okay. What is the time to do for Jupiter retrograde? Time to self-reflect, Jupiter is philosophical, rules Sagittarius. Time to deep think and see the big picture. I'm having to restart this video a lot. Anyway, Jupiter retrograde. It happens once a year. As most of these, as you can see, because it's a retrograde season, that means mostly all the planets are in retrograde. And it happens for 4 months, 120 days. If you were born with any retrogrades, like I said, this is the one that I was born with, the only one I was born with. It is easier for you to go through these retrogrades when they happen in life because you were born with them. So you were born like in the tough times. Not in the tough times, let's not say it that way. In the lesson learning time, you were like a master of some of these lessons because you were born going through this. So, mine is Jupiter in Cancer, which is where it's exalted. I expand or get my luck best in life when I deal with my family. That's because I have Jupiter in Cancer in retrograde. So this Jupiter in retrograde, I would not say is messing with me the most. I think I will master it, and I will definitely come out on top by the end of Scorpio season. All right, so if it is like a lesson like self-reflecting, I would say I definitely self-reflect a lot, but because I'm a Scorpio, that is part of my Scorpio sun, that's part of my characteristics to transform, to rebirth myself. Oh, thank you. September 13th, midnight. All right, here we go. So, I would say that I self-reflect a lot, but maybe not enough, because Jupiter is always expanding things. It is in Aries again, so it is restarting a new cycle of energy. So this time I do think the retrograde is slightly affecting me because I could self-reflect a lot more than I normally do. I definitely see the big picture in things. I don't go with what I'm told. That is what I'm going to talk about with the wild card retrograde going on. But yes, I do see the big picture most of the time. And the Jupiter retrograde expands on the big picture because it's like you are re-believing in things. You are redoing your beliefs. You are examining your luck and how you get your fortune and how you bring on your blessings for yourself. All right, I want to bring this up and speed up. Saturn in retrograde in Aquarius. Saturn in Aquarius is Aquarius's old ruler. Saturn is the oldest planet, as well as the last planet of the personal and collective planets. The reason it has both is because Saturn takes a longer time, like Jupiter. They both are the personal and collective planets. And Saturn is the oldest planet. So it ruled Aquarius how long ago, what has to do with the New World. And it currently is ruling Capricorn, what has to do with the present or the old world. And Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and that's the one we're going to get to next. So, Saturn in Aquarius, because Saturn is the ruler of the old world, the father figure, the authority figures, the responsible one, the one with the reputation of a god. Okay. It brings time for reality checks. Saturn retrograde brings promoting personal growth, if you look at it like that. It brings definitely responsibility, being more responsible and watching your reputation. I have Saturn in the 10th house in Cancer, which means it's in my midheaven. It's in its home house. And it's like restructuring your life during Saturn retrograde. It is restructuring your world in Saturn and Aquarius. from the old to the new. If y'all haven't noticed the energy of Saturn retrograde, we literally are fighting. It has to do with the government because it has to do with authority. So we are fighting the government on many things, not just the elections, not just the politics of all the other entities of church and of schools and of the local governments, on to the state governments and the federal government. It's just a constant battle that we have to make a decision on because Saturn is in Aquarius, which is the future. Aquarius has to do with the future. We're in the age of Aquarius. Whole nother episode. All right, so restructure your life with Saturn in retrograde in Aquarius. It has been going on since June the 4th. It is going to end on October 23rd, which is the first day of Scorpio season. Whew, what a relief. At least we can release from Saturn and then get the rewards at the end of Scorpio season from Jupiter's retrograde ending. So I'm looking forward to Scorpio season for those two retrograde reasons. That is all I want to say about Saturn. Uranus, the wild card. You've been waiting for it. Here we go. Uranus in retrograde in Taurus, of all places. Now, let me just say, because I talked about my retrograde planet, the only one I have is Jupiter in retrograde in Cancer. Uranus I have in Scorpio. Uranus, again, is the future. Uranus has to do with rebellion. Uranus has to do with being an individual and then finding other individuals who have the similar mindsets, your social groups. Has to do with aliens and science and technology and things out of this old world. Okay. Why we say it's the wild card? Because it's time to realize you are free. It's time to realize you are a being. You are an energy. You are an alien too. And this is another reason why it's a wild card, because Uranus was in retrograde in Taurus. Uranus stays in the same sign for about 5 years. It's the first outer planet. It's the first collective planet. Uranus is opposing my current, on my birth chart, with Uranus being in Scorpio. Why is Uranus in Scorpio so awesome? Because Scorpio's already rebellious. Scorpio's already, I'm going to do what I want. And what you going to do about it? It's already got that fixed sign energy. Even though Scorpios and Aquariuses don't normally mix, they mix because they have the same kind of nonchalant, rebellious, bout energy. Okay, so this is happening annually. The last time it happened was August 19th, 2021. And it moved for 5 months. They're 5 months long. That is why most of you have Uranus in retrograde. So it's like either most of us have one planet in retrograde, most of us have like 4, 5, 6 planets like going on now in retrograde, or you have no planets in retrograde, which is like when it's chill, like when it was this year in between February and April, the end of April, which is when Jupiter's retrograde. Because I feel like, no, not Jupiter, it's Pluto. Sorry, Pluto started in, we'll get to Pluto last, but Pluto started in April. So we've been going through Pluto's retrograde for a minute. So the first Uranus in retrograde again was August 19th of 2021, last summer, to the winter, January the 18th, 2022. And then it started again this past August the 24th, 2022. And it's going all the way again until, because 5 months, until January 23. So 1, 2, 3, 2023. So, that is why it's a wild card, because it normally can happen twice in the same year. most of the Uranus in retrogrades are people that are in the summer to the winter, born in the summer to the winter. And most have Uranus again, like I said, on your chart. What do you do in Uranus? Like I said, it's time to realize you're free in Uranus retrograde. It's a wild card because Uranus is already a wild planet. So your Uranus and retrograde people are lucky because they don't really have to worry about, they are free spirits. Whereas some of us that don't have Uranus in retrograde are pushing through, releasing or trying to figure it out, or trying to notice how we can be rebellious, how we can be individuals. But again, 2022 has been so powerful with all these lessons and retrogrades and changes and full moons and things, eclipses and the fixed signs, Uranus being in Taurus and the fixed signs being the North Node and the South Node. It's a lot. It's a lot in astrology. But yeah, it's just time to stand out. It's time to look at yourself and see how you're an individual. Taurus is a earth sign. So get grounded first, always realize who you are, and then financially. See, Uranus in retrograde in Taurus right now is getting ready to change the money system. It's already changing the food system, the gas system, all the resources are changing. If you didn't notice, that is Uranus in retrograde. All right, we got 2 more planets, and then we got Chiron and the other 2 personal planets I need to talk about really quick. Neptune in retrograde in good old Pisces. So Neptune is wrapping up its cycle because Pisces is the last sign. Neptune rules Pisces. Neptune is dreams, illusion, spirituality, and the subconscious. It happened June the 28th and going to December the 4th. So that is 5 months as well. Most of the collective planets take the longest to go through their retrogrades. And the only personal planet, Mercury, happens so many times. So it's kind of like Mercury. That's why Mercury retrograde is so popular. And these other ones are so unknown, but they don't bother the collective that much because the collective is already like learning it and going through it. All right, so Pisces again, Neptune, same characteristics. Your higher and lower levels of energy, how you're creative. This is the time to get more creative. This is the time to revise your dreams, reflect on your dreams, reflect on your creativity and how you can be more creative. If you are a water sign, this is your time. It's not as dramatic as it seems unless it's in its ruling sign. So Neptune ruling Pisces, and Jupiter also rules Pisces. So that is why the Jupiter energy expands and blesses us, because it is a former ruler of Pisces, and it is also just a dreamy, spiritual, tapping into your own higher self of energy and flowing with it, because they're both mutable signs. So again, this happens once a year for 5 months. We're in the midst of this. It's not too heavy, but it is, again, because it's in its ruling sign. So this is because it rules illusions, and then we're in Virgo season, the opposite sign of Pisces. There's a lot of Neptune, Sun Neptune energy going on right now. It's actually about to hit before the end of this week, because Virgo season is almost over, and Neptune is in its, even though it's in retrograde, it's in its final decan, like in the 20 degrees range. So in another year and a half, 2 years, I believe, we'll be in Neptune and Aries, and that's the new cycle for Neptune coming up. So look forward to that. But yeah, if we are in a ruling sign in a retrograde, it does affect most of us. So as of the collective, there was a lot of illusions and delusions and subconscious energy going on with Pisces rules celebrity energy, and what they give us on in sight, but some of that is an illusion. It rules drugs and liquor and lower energy kind of things. Pisces is the fish, so you have this higher spirituality, creativity energy, then you have this lower victimizing, escaping from, because it's ending, it's breaking away from, because Pisces is the last sign. Nonetheless, you're holding on to it because that is the energy when things are in Pisces. Sometimes you hold on to those lower energies, even though you can be up here too, and this will benefit more. So it's like reflecting on that. What lower energies, what lower beliefs, what lower things that I've seen, dreams, subconsciously or consciously, might I need to reflect on and be like, does that make sense? The whole Coco 19 is Neptune and Pisces energy. The death of celebrities, rest in peace to, what's the one who passed today? I forgot his name. PNB Rock, rest in peace. In LA, the illusions, it's so many deaths. Biggie, and it's always male black rappers. What's my Pimp C, or like really famous people like Whitney Houston and all those kind of things. Like LA illusions. Lived there, felt the energy, hated it, came back to the energy, the lower energies that I'm used to on the East Coast. But anyway, that is Neptune in retrograde. All right. Pluto in retrograde in Capricorn. First of all, other than Mars, the power planet of the personal planets, being a ruler of my sign, Scorpio, we have Pluto, that's the other ruler of Scorpio. Pluto is the planet that's hated on the most. Scorpios are hated on the most of all the zodiac signs, other than maybe Gemini and Aries. Okay, so, excuse me, Pluto in retrograde in Capricorn, another challenging sign, is the old world transforming. Pluto represents death, rebirth, transformation, power, all of that. Scorpio energy, secrets, insurance commitments, stuff like that. Taurus is the opposite sign of Scorpio. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so Venus is all things you desire. Pluto is the things you don't desire, the things that are dark and deep and underground, and Venus is the flower. Pluto is the soil and the roots. So, time to challenge any toxic, negative, secretive, self-destructive behaviors and beliefs or beliefs. I can't stress this enough for Scorpio placements and Capricorn placements, which I have Scorpio Sun and Capricorn Moon. This retrograde has been kicking my ass, and I'm ready for it to end. It ends on the 12th. It's began on August 30th, and it ends on April 30th. It began at the end of Taurus, or the first week of Taurus, and it ends right before Scorpio season. Got to get the dates. I don't know why I didn't write them down, but I believe it's like 10/19 or something like that. October 19th. But yeah, 5 to 6 months of Pluto retrograde. Pluto is the slowest planet, so it's retrograding slow too. Time to reflect on all the lower energies. Unfortunately, Pluto has lots of lower energy. Pluto was that planet that nobody wanted to say was a planet. And Pluto is about to show everybody that why it is a planet and why it's the most powerful planet. It's the furthest out, so it gets to give all the energy to all the other planets that are in the universe and all the other everything's in the universe because it's so far out. That's how powerful Pluto is. Okay, it's getting late, y'all, so bear with me in these last few minutes. I swear to goodness, I'm trying to hold my nails. All right, so I wanted to touch back on one thing. Saturn in retrograde. Did I mention, because I might have, how I'm restructuring my life? And we have been displaced since November of 2021. When Uranus was in retrograde going into 2022. Uranus again has to do with also being innovative, and because Saturn is an Aquarius that is ruled generally by Saturn and Uranus, it's like the tug of war between the way we used to do things now moving into the new things. So I made a promise, because we're also in Mercury retrograde, I'm tying all this together, to my daughters tonight, that we are going to find somewhere temporarily to be staying in until we get permanent residency, because a lot of these retrograde lessons have to do with the following. So 6 planets, again, all these Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all in retrograde at this time on September 12th, 2022. And this brings major changes to society as a whole, because all of those planets except Mercury have to do with the collective, the relationships, which is what Mercury and Libra has to deal with, the living situations is which Saturn and Uranus have to deal with. Again, Saturn is being responsible and, restructuring your life, and Uranus has to deal with your new life, how you're going to be innovative to get these lessons or restructuring or redoing going. And then finances has to do with Uranus and Taurus. Also Pluto and Capricorn, and that transformation going on. And Uranus, the Taurus energy is finance. Taurus rules finances, so finances are going through big. Like I said, and when I was talking about Uranus in retrograde, if you don't see the things going on with our resources and especially finances, I don't know where you live. But yes, and our families. Everything from the healing of what I'm getting ready to talk about, Chiron in retrograde, to the healing from Chiron in retrograde being in Aries, and that has to do with your childhood traumas from your families. We're talking about transformation in Capricorn, because Capricorn has to do with like the grandfather energy, the older energy, Capricorn, Saturn, Aquarius fighting that new energy with the older planet. It all ties in. So let's wrap up this retrograde information. This is taking me so long because it's so necessary. I do hear a lot of astrologers breaking down retrogrades, but not about them all happening in 2022. I would love to collaborate with you. I would love to do your birth chart if needed. I'm going to definitely get back in that after I finish going through these retrogrades and restructuring my life. And just helping us through making more videos about the weekly energy, just getting back into restructuring how I present astrology to you all. All right, wrapping it up. Chiron in retrograde in Aries, and then I'm going to go into Mars and Venus, which are the final personal planets that are definitely powerful because they're personal planets. So I saved them for last. Chiron in retrograde in Aries began July the 19th and it ends on December 2023. Chiron has been known to be the wounded healer, the child of Uranus and Saturn, I believe. It sits somewhere between them. It's a child of one of those planets. And Chiron is in Aries, so it's starting a new cycle just like Jupiter. They actually will conjunct sometime. I think they already have. I can't remember. Don't get me the line. But because they're both in retrograde, and Chiron, I believe, is further than Jupiter. Jupiter's still in its first decan, so it's in somewhere under 10 degrees. And it's actually going back into Pisces. I forgot to mention that in Jupiter's retrograde, it'll go back into Pisces before it moves back through Aries. But Chiron in Aries, starting a new cycle. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is the aggressive, fast-paced. Aries rules your desires. It has to do with sex too. It has to do with your motivation and energy, your drive. And this is kind of ruining how you're healing from, not ruining, I'm sorry. I'm using negative words. Excuse me. This is helping you reevaluate how you heal. But because it's in Aries, what I mean is that it's going to be a challenge because it's like you have a sense of urgency to heal. Like you have to heal now or else. Like what or else what? Let's just be clear. This is a new cycle and there's no or else. You are starting a new healing cycle. You are starting a new, and you're starting it fast because it's an Aries. So it may be fast or furious, but if you become courageous, if you're not like, okay, I need to get this done, but then you fear what's happening, this retrograde won't benefit you. These are beneficial lessons. You're not going to learn them all. I'm 44 years old. I haven't learned them all, and we've all been through them every year. The best way for Chiron retrograde healing to happen, especially in Aries, because you want it to happen so fast, journal some things, write some things down. When I tell you I used to journal all the time, and because life is so busy, I don't journal as much, but when I do, I have organized episodes. I get things done. Virgo season, you know, that's why they start school in Virgo season, because it's time to get organized and get things done, perfect some things. Time to reflect on past trauma, especially from childhood. You have therapy, if that's your thing, will help. An example of healing with Chiron and Aries is like when you want to rip off your Band-Aid because it's better to air dry and you feel that burn after the rip, but the burn feels better with the air hitting it. That's just kind of retrograde energy. It's a lot to it. And then with Jupiter conjunct, it expands on the healing. It's like everybody wants to heal. Everybody wants to talk about the family trauma finally. Everybody wants to work on the family trauma finally. So hopefully this retrograde brings a lot of healing over this world, especially because it's a new cycle, because a lot of us, especially I want to say baby boomers to millennials, have with Gen X in between, have a lot of healing family trauma discussions that need to be said. And what's going to help us? This next planet. Mars in retrograde in 2022. The reason I saved Mars in retrograde last is because Mars is currently in Gemini. When Mars goes into retrograde, it lasts a long time, basically, because the planet will go close to the last few degrees, and then it'll retrograde back. Mars generally moves fast. It takes like 6 weeks to 2 months to move through a sign. But when it's in retrograde, because it's moving so fast, it'll get to the end of the sign, the degrees, close to 29 degrees, and then it'll go all the way back to the beginning, and then have to go all the way back again to the end and move into the next sign once it goes direct. So Mars is currently in Gemini. What degree is it in? I should have had this ready. Okay, so Mars is currently in Gemini. Mars went into Gemini about 3 weeks to a month ago. Not that long, maybe 2 weeks. So it's only at 12 degrees. But Mars's shadow period, so all the planets have shadow periods. Normally they're 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. But for some reason, Mars has a shadow period that is 6 weeks before and 6 weeks after. Why it takes that long, I'm still going to find out. But we're getting ready to go into Mars' shadow period because Mars' retrograde doesn't begin until October 30th. It's only September the 16th. I believe it goes in the shadow period this weekend or close after. That is the 6 weeks before the end of the month of October, the second to last day. So, because we're in the middle of September. So, this energy is extra strong because Mars rules Scorpio and Aries. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, but Gemini is the communication sign. It's the chatty sign. Mars represents aggression and drive and high energy, motivation. So it's like everybody's motivated to chatter. Everybody's motivated to have this high libido, high sex drive. Be really aggressive when they talk. So expect in Mars retrograde to have a low sex drive. Unfortunately, this is tough because not only does it start in Scorpio season, it ends in Capricorn season. Scorpio and Capricorn is like, Scorpio number one is the sex sign, and then it's ruled by Mars. Mars rules sex. Capricorn can be that devilish sex. Anyway, let me not go there. But you can expect a lot of motivation with this retrograde, Mars in retrograde. And it's happening when it gets cold. So this is typical. Mars is ruling fire. It's a hot planet. So by it being in retrograde in the winter or in the late fall season, not a big deal. However, I don't see how people can have low sex drives when they're trying to huddle up and get that body heat, but we'll see. It's time to check yourself before you wreck yourself, basically. Like, you don't want to have a low sex drive if you're in a relationship. You want to, sex is not bad. Sex is good. Sexual healing is good. Just maybe watch what you say. I don't know. The Gemini Mars energy, I know plenty of people with Mars and Gemini, and they are really chatty people. Some talk good games, some talk really that lower mind. But maybe this will chill the chatter out, the retrograde. Maybe we all will reflect personally, because Mars is a personal planet, on how we speak and the aggressive ways we speak. Just reflecting on that. Mars happens every 2 years. The retrograde happens every 2 years for about 2 months, like I said. And with the shadow periods, it's like about 4 months. So, because it ends January the 12th, and you have 6 weeks after that. So let's say by like the beginning of March is when we will be out. And then Gemini will be moving into, Mars and Gemini will be moving into Mars and Cancer. That is Mars in retrograde in 2022. Last but not least, and we're going to keep this short, Venus in retrograde already happened back in Capricorn. And whoa, we do not need to go back into that because that lasted a long time too. Venus's shadow, whenever there is a Mars retrograde, there's an opposing Venus retrograde because they're lovers, like about half the year in. So half a year ago, we had, I'm sorry, not half a year, last year we had, because Mars retrograde happens every 2 years, Venus in retrograde happens every 18 months. So like between a year and a half to 2 years ago, ooh, that was the lightning bug. We had the Venus in retrograde back in December. Yes, December of 2021, December 19th to be exact. But it began back in November. So you felt that energy early. And Venus in Capricorn goes well with Venus and Scorpio placement people on their birth chart like myself because they understand the struggle. We're not going to go too deep into the placements with this sign, but it's like the struggle with Venus in retrograde is you're learning lessons about how you value things, how you beautify yourself, how you love yourself and love others. So we've already been through this. Like I said, it happened December 19th, 2021, and it went into 2022 already. So it was like the first retrograde that we had other than Mercury retrograde in 2022. It happens for 6 weeks long. So it ended January 29th, 2022. And then 3 weeks after that is when the shadow period ended, which would put it around the end of February, close to the end of February. Make sense? Thank you for watching this detailed yet extensive video about all the retrogrades. It was long because it's all the retrogrades. We have 8 planets and the asteroid Chiron. The only placements that always are in retrograde, y'all, are in the nodes. The nodes retrograde for 18 months long. We had the nodes switch at the beginning of this year. That was the other first retrograde we had, but they're always in retrograde. They never go direct. They go backwards all the time, as well as the ages. So we're leaving the age of Pisces and going into the age of Aquarius now. So when things are retrograde, it's always lessons. There's always lessons going on, if y'all didn't know, just based on the ages and the nodes. The nodes are our destiny or our karma, what we're releasing or what we're moving away from and what we're going towards, our path in life. So the nodes on our birth charts may be different from the current nodes, but the current nodes are very important because they are ruling over the collective. So collectively, the nodes, the North Node, the path we're all going to is in Taurus. The South Node is in Scorpio, so we're releasing secrets. We're releasing, we're rebirthing. We are releasing toxic energy, lower Mars and Pluto energy. And we're stepping into Venus energy, what we value, how we value, our difference in changes that have been going on with the things that we have previously valued, and now we value something new. And then we will retrograde into the Aries North Node and Libra South Node by July 2023. So we will have a all-year retrograde of Taurus and Scorpio energy, fixed energy. That is another reason why finances and resources are changing, because of the North Node being in Taurus. Retrogrades for life. Growing into divine adults and loving yourself forever. This is Get a Life Astrology. I'm TMZ, teaching everyone abundantly, empowering many. Zakia, which means intelligent in Arabic. Enlightening every day.